What? 2 Carbuncle Chronicles in a row? Yeah, why not? Did you miss us? Because we're doing a seasonal event primer on the Carbuncle Chronicle. Hello, adventurers, and welcome once more, or back, or for the first time, to the Carbuncle Chronicle, your podcast for everything awesome in Final Fantasy XIV Online. I'm Basil. I play a Lalafell named 4K Ryusuke, who is, by and large, a summoner.
I'm Anna. I play, depending on the day, a Lalafell bunny Mikote named Cormier Ryusuke. Usually on Leviathan, that's where the Lalafell is. And I bane, dancer, bard, whatever I feel like that day.
And I'm Douglas, and I play Umie de la Lune, who is a beautiful blonde bunny boy. And right now I'm maining Reaper, but I have traditionally mained White Mage and Black Mage. So, just all the stereotypes.
So yeah, the cadence that we normally shoot for is just like an awesome cast, and a Carbuncle Chronicle, and then like another awesome cast, then maybe another Carbuncle Chronicle, and then but we're switching things up because we realized that we're in the perfect spot to do a seasonal event primer, where Final Fantasy XIV has a lot of seasonal events. It happens throughout the year, but we're right where we are in the middle of December. We have Starlight Celebration that immediately, as we turn over to the new year, switches over to Heavenstern. So now is a very good time to actually just have like a good old general episode about all the seasonal events that you can do throughout the year in Final Fantasy XIV.
Yeah, there's so many events that happen in 14. I can remember a time where people who had started playing, like after that, after the World of Warcraft, after one of the major waves of like players sloughing off from that and joining into 14, they came in during a period of time where it seemed like there was always a seasonal event going on. And it confused them when we got to the point of the year where there wasn't a lot going on.
Well, if you remember, that happened to us. We started in April of 2014, and we were like, why are there eggs everywhere?
Oh, that did. Yeah, that did
and
happen.
we did not make it to level 15 in time to finish that event because we was like the day or two left.
Yeah, I was racing to try to do it.
Yeah.
And I was so tired. I did make it to 15. I did get to participate in that very first Easter event, but not by much. I did not finish it.
But yeah, I remember we were like, why are there eggs? Like, what is this? And I think one of y'all found out, oh, there's an event going on.
Right. Well, I also remember I thought that the Papaya theme was a theme that the cat girls in Ul'dah danced to. Because that was what the seasonal event theme is Papaya. And when I originally started the game, I didn't understand what classes and jobs were really, because you start off as your general like profession or whatever. For some it would be Arcanist, but I didn't understand that. So I started as Thaumaturge, wanting to eventually become a summoner, but no, Thaumaturge rolls into Black Mage.
I also started as Thaumaturge. I also started as a Thaumaturge, thinking that was the one that sounded the most healy to me. I was wrong, but But that is why I chose it, because it wasn't too clear at the time. I think they have revised that language.
But that said, while talk about events and things, as we're recording this, it's December 18th, 2022. If you're listening as we get this episode out, which will hopefully be pretty soon after today, there are a couple of things that are happening right now. The first is the Moogle Treasure Trove, the Hunt for Creation, where you can do, older content for Moogle tombstones, which you can use for things, and that's going on until the drop of patch 6.3, which is probably January 10th.
We'll know for sure this Friday, but we're pretty sure.
It's a good Moogle tombstone event to go for, because if nothing else, you can get the Falcon mount, which was only previously available like during a previous Moogle tombstone event, or if you had subbed during the beginnings of Stormblood.
Yeah, this is the only way to get that mount now.
Like, there's other things that you get, like the Namazu Neckerchief, which, if you want that, cool. I'm not the biggest fan of the accessories being like the big item, but that tends to be what they do. There are, of course, different mounts and orchestrations. Like, for example, the big 50 tombstone ones are the Ancient City and Heartless. And I know that when I was looking on Leviathan last night, they're still going for about 1 million gil a piece.
Yeah, there are a couple of those I don't even have. Like, I think there's just such rare drops from older dungeons that they've added after the fact.
The other couple of things that are pretty good is the Ishgardian half-barding, because you have to do a crazy fate train in Heaven's War to actually get.
Something else I don't have.
I have that barding already, and I would really recommend, if we lived in a different day and age, I really would recommend doing that crazy fate train, but I don't think there are a lot of people who still do that anymore, so it can be hard to get a group together to actually get that done. But it's really it's an example of very good storytelling through the fate system, which the game doesn't have a lot of examples of that. So I think you should still do the crazy fate train, but also at the same time I understand not being able to.
Yeah, I would like to go back and do it one day just for the achievement, if anything. I don't really know how I missed it. I know Basil, he was really gung ho about the fates, and I remember him doing it.
Yeah,
so
you were
like,
really anti-fate. You were really anti-fate at the time.
I blamed the Zeta weapons.
And I said, hey, let's go to this zone and let's just do all the fates there. And that was my idea of a good time. And you were like, no, that's awful. And I'm not sure you were wrong. Like, but it was like, it's one of the few zones that has like a really good story buried in the fate. And I say one of the few zones, but actually, Stormblood had a couple of really good stories if you paid attention to the fates.
You're right. There are just such good stories that you don't realize, like, either in side quests or fates. Like, you just have to go find them, and they're such, like, diamonds in the rough type things.
Mm-hmm.
Well, even in the most recent expansion, I definitely remember there being some pretty good, like, fate stories in the zone of where there's different, like, engineers and things, and there's some former bad guy-like people hanging out with traditionally good character people, and they're interacting with each other, and so they're going from place to place trying to figure something out. And as long as you hang around those fates and you listen to them talk before and afterwards as they're appearing, there's a neat little storyline as they're leading you around.
Yeah, that one is really neat.
There's another really neat one like that in the Rainbow Fairyland that was out for last expansion.
Mm-hmm.
Shadowbringers. That was really... It was cute. I liked it.
Good. Sorry.
I don't think it compared to I don't think it compared to the Dragon Fates in Churning Mists, but you know, it was still pretty good.
I will say that a really, really good example of doing storylines through fate systems was actually what they ended up doing in Baja, and the special zone they did for relic weapons in Shadowbringers, where at least, you know, the two ways, well, they had three ways of communicating story in Baja. One was through cutscenes and through like general storyline content like you're used to. They also dropped various items that you would have in a little lexicon that you would queue up, you know, from the menu, that you can read messages and about people and things and get storyline bits that way. But all those people you learned about in that little lexicon, you also saw them running around in Baja as those fates and bosses would pop up, and they were telling their own little stories. Like, and it was, the zone was just filled with them. Like, everything had different characters interacting. You would meet new hero characters, you'd meet new villain characters, or all unique to Baja, and they all had their own little storylines going on the entire time. And as you moved to the different zones that Baja had, as the storylines would evolve as you moved on. Like, as you went to Baja or to Zadnor or the different areas of both, like, it would, if you were really paying attention through the progression of going to different zones and things, it was telling just really neat, unique little storylines for Baja. It was actually really, really cool, and I think it might be the best overall example of storytelling through Fates.
I think you might be right, and that's part of the reason why everybody's hoping for something like Baja again.
Which I think they'll get next expansion, yeah.
Yeah.
So I do recommend for folks to go check out the website for the Moogle Treasure Trove the Hunt for Creation. See what the various rewards are. Go see what things are giving how many tombstones. Like, you can do Chariot runs or Dunscape runs or Weeping City of Mach are like the two highest ones. The PvPs are actually pretty good. But if you want more of a general us talking about Moogle tombstones, we actually did do a previous episode of the Carbuncle Chronicle detailing and talking about the Moogle tombstone events in general, and that one is specific. But like what the stuff we talked about then more or less applies to this one. It's just like the names of the events and what you're getting has changed a little bit. That's the Moogle Treasure Trove. But the other thing that's going on right now, right this moment, the whole reason they gave this idea that we should do a seasonal event primer is that we are currently going from now, as we're recording this, to the 31st of December. We are doing the Starlight Celebration Magics of Eld Conjure Smiles Anew.
Yay!
Where it's initially, it's a cute little storyline, and we'll cover this, you know, in the action and further in the episode. But it starts in Gridania. You'll go to the amphitheater. You'll talk to somebody, and there'll be a little quest, and you'll get rewards. This year, it is a little story about a guy from Sharlayan who has got a reindeer, and this reindeer is apparently supposed to have cool magics to show off sweet tricks for kids. But for some reason, the reindeer won't pull off any sweet tricks, and he's got to learn the real meaning of starlight.
Yeah, it's hard. But as you might suspect, it is not the reindeer who must learn the true meaning of starlight. It is our darling researcher who has forgotten the true meaning of starlight.
I really do appreciate, though, it is a researcher from Sharlayan, because Sharlayan's been in the game from, like, the get-go. Sharlayan was, I think, a concept still in 1.0. It's not anything new, and while Sharlayan has become much more important thanks to Endwalker, it's kind of neat to see a researcher in Gridania, because it makes total sense no matter when in the events of timelines things take place. So
Mhm.
even if you're playing the game right now, Charlene's a cool place of researchers and academics. Here's a researcher academic who wants to do something in Gridania. Makes total sense. But if you've played Endwalker and you've seen the more recent going on with Charlene, it still makes sense. It's a really, really good way to include things. Also, the actual, I think, real, like, neat lore-based meat of the bones of this event is not the actual initial event where you get the cool reindeer mount, but afterwards, I know Anna's actually done it, you can talk to the character again and they'll give you like optional like storyline bits that you can check out.
Yeah, and this
Yeah.
is what I had mentioned this earlier and we were saving it for the episode. So when I made a character last night on the Dynamis data center. And so I'm only level 23, but I can do the event. Well, so when you do it, you get all that, and you do get 3 options when you go back and talk to the main guy. And I think I don't remember exactly who you speak with, like Mother Mione, who is the main person you talk to if you start in Gridania. You speak with one of the guild I think the leather worker guild head, and there's 2 the botany and carpentry guild heads. You there's one for each of them, and you can see them interacting with people of Gridania for the Starlight Festival. Like, you see everyone get involved, and that's really what the point of the story is. Like, everyone gets involved with the holiday. Well, what I did not have on this character that I had on my other characters, you have 2 extra options if you have I want to assume you've been. Well, no, I assume one of them you have to have completed Endwalker. One of them you must have completed probably Heaven's Ward, because one of them you get to interact with Amaric, who is from Heaven's Ward, and another like little Easter egg with him that I've discovered on Twitter from, I cannot remember her name. I know she runs Atai Kuji, which is a great website if you want to buy Japanese products and you don't live in Japan. But she was talking, when you do the Amaric one, you actually get extra dialogue if you did a previous Starlight event where we had like dreams and people would show up in your dreams. And there was one where Amaric showed up and he mentions like he's wearing red, and he mentions, blue's my favorite color. And he says that again in this one, and he's like, I feel like we've had this conversation before. So it alludes to that if you've done that Starlight event. And then the other one has a mana line and Sicard. So
Yeah, this is all throwing me for a loop because I just logged on and, like, for those of you who don't know, Pokemon, like, new Pokemon has come out. It has consumed my brain. I haven't had a lot of time for 14, but I logged on today to do the 14 event so that I could know what I was talking about. And I was like, oh, that was surprisingly short. Like, I did it on 2 different characters in the span of an hour. So 30 minutes each character. It was not difficult. I think 30 minutes maybe overstating it too. Like, I probably was fooling around and doing other stuff in those 30 minutes.
But yeah, definitely go back and talk to the researcher, and you can do those little cutscenes, and they're just cute little, just extra things you get to do.
Yeah, that's good to know.
And sometimes the seasonal events, don't have a lot to them. I remember one time there was a Valentine's Day event where you talk to a person, you talk to another person, and then you go back and talk to the main person, and you get it. And that was I think it was a blow kiss emote. It was like the Dota mode, where literally like it was like 3 paragraphs of talking and then you got it. Like, it was literally blink and you miss it event. I was really surprised.
You got the dote. But then you got the dote emote, and you could just like dote on everybody.
I feel like that was a time that maybe like a natural disaster had happened in Japan, or something major had happened where they did not have time to do a whole lot, and they were like, look, we got to get you something. So here you go.
Right. And that does happen. Like, for example, I know one of the years, Little Ladies' Day and Valentine's Day actually ended up being the same event.
Mm-hmm.
Where it was just they did the event longer for both, and the rewards were kind of merged rewards because something had happened where they just didn't have the time
I think it was during the pandemic.
Do both. I mean, shoot, technically we've had we had 2 All Saints Wakes because of the pandemic, and trying to get Endwalker out.
This year we have actually had 2. We had All Saint Wake in January, and then we had it again in October.
So, things happen. But let's go ahead and get started with our seasonal lit primer, starting with Heaven's Turn. Starts January 1st, pretty much every time. And it'll go on till about the 14th or the 18th. Depends when they decide to end things. Usually, I'm assuming it's more based off when the first starts and the week ends or whatever, because usually these things end on like a Friday or a Thursday or something. It starts in Limbs of Lamensa. Heaven's Turn always does. And it's based off of the Zodiac, Chinese Zodiac New Year's. So whatever year of whatever animal it is, we usually get like a helmet and sometimes a minion based off of whatever year of the animal it is.
No year will ever beat Year of the Cock.
That was a pretty good year.
It doesn't hurt that before that year, before that event, we went to second fan fest, but our first fan fest, where essentially half the presentation was Michael Christopher Koji Fox trying to sell the lore book that had already sold out without him realizing it. And then the other half was just proud how much he got to say the word cock.
Like, Koji Fox was so excited about it and giggling, and you could tell that a lot of the other Japanese guest speakers didn't quite understand what he was giggling about. Like, they knew that it was like a penis pun, but like they didn't get the full extent of it.
Now, the actual event was the Year of the Rooster, and all the main promotional things said Year of the Rooster. However, as he told us during his presentation, he can get away with a little bit more when it comes to the dialogue for the actual event. I think I counted the word cock 17 to 18 times.
Just like one of my fanfics.
As always, Awesome
That's
Cast
a way higher number in your fanfics.
is more meant for more, let's say, mature audiences. However, this episode is by and large pretty darn spoiler-free. As far as like major lore drops or expansions, we're not going to spoil the ending of an expansion here because we're just talking about seasonal events.
Exactly.
But we might just talk about some cocks.
Oh, chickens. Okay, so have we come full circle yet? Like, how many years has Final Fantasy XIV existed? Has it been 12 yet?
No, this will be... Because I don't know if they did one in 2014, because the game officially launched in 2013, or A Realm Reborn did. So
The first Heaven's Turn was in 2014.
Okay, so we did miss that one.
Yeah, I knew there was one that we had missed from when we started playing, but,
So no.
I wasn't sure if we had come full circle yet.
Not yet.
Well, it looks like, I believe next year is Year of the Rabbit.
Okay, that's mine.
As 2023 is Year of the Water Rabbit, so I'm expecting it to be, rabbit themed.
I hope it
Oh
will.
gosh! Oh no! Not spoiling Endwalker, but Rabbit.
But rabbit.
It'll be someone from the Far East as an envoy to celebrate Heaven's Turn, and there should be some form of mochi pounding, and there'll be a couple of fates we can do, because usually it's that fate where they've got like the giant dudes, banging on the mochi and it creating ripple effects, and you gotta sort of get in there and do the fate before it knocks you back.
You guys know that, like, eating mochi is traditional for New Year's, right?
Yes. Emoji pounding is I know that's a huge traditional thing in Japan for New Year's.
But I also realized we hadn't mentioned what you typically do for Heaven's Stern in 14, which is usually a fate that involves the mochi pounding. And they talk about it like through like the folks from the Far East because the silly, you know, Westerners that are the people who live in Eorzea, aka us, don't don't know no better. They don't know that our version of mochi is like black eyed peas. And
it is. It's basically the same principle.
Hey folks, Basil here with an addendum about Heaven's Stern. As it turns out, we got the whole we got things somewhat right, but mostly wrong. We were right. It is about bunnies. Totally bunny. We're getting Usagi stuff. Sort of. Not really. We're going to see the Usagi Bugyo. But what we were incorrect was the fact they were going to get helms. As it turns out, I think we talked about how, like, there were some events that happened in 1.0. Things like how Starlight was a thing. They had the Moonfire, only it was like the Fire, or that has an actual name. You'll hear about when we talk about it. Anyways, Heaven's Stern was one of those events. And that was also year of the rabbit. So there is already a rabbit helm in the game. And in fact, when 2014 happened and ARR was back and they had a Heaven's Stern, they just went ahead and gave those folks fresh new Usagi helmets as well. Now, we didn't play until that following April, so we didn't know what Heaven's Stern was at the time. And even though I looked back and researched previous events, somehow the fact that the Usagi helmet was already around completely missed me. So anyways, if you want that, it's the Mog Station. Right as of this recording, it's probably on sale for like $2, but normally it's like $4. So, I believe. If I'm wrong, well, I'm not recording another addendum to this addendum, so hopefully I'm right. Anyways, what are we getting this Heaven's Stern? Well, we're getting the rest of the outfit. So we're getting the Heaven's Stern Domaru, the Heaven's Stern Kote? How do you pronounce it? Anyways, the Heaven's Stern Hidate, and the Heaven's Stern Tsuneate. Also, a Heaven's Stern crane banner that you can use on your walls. Hopefully you get houses in the upcoming patches or apartments, or at least something. Anyways, so that's the things. You can totally check it out. The website for it is on the Lodestone. It's got a pretty cool image for it that you can use the wallpaper if you're so inclined. So that's exciting. It's lots and lots of sacred lots. Anyways, back to the episode. So yes, that's Heaven's Stern, as we then transition into Valentine's Day, or Valention's Day?
Valentione Day.
Valention's Day, it happens every February. It's usually during the first half of the month. Sometimes it's February 1st, sometimes it's been like 2nd or 4th. But it usually happens the first chunk of February, because they usually do a few weeks for each event to give people time to actually do it. It usually starts in Gridania. It has a couple of years started in Limsa, because the idea is it celebrates because it's Valentine's Day, but it's in 14. It is, and a lot of events actually also happen because people from Ishgard show up to tell Eorzeans how it's done. Yeah,
that was a pretty big theme throughout A Realm Reborn, is Ishgardians showing up to tell you what was cool.
I guess it does make sense because at the time you couldn't go to Ishgard yet, and it was a while before we actually got to Heaven's Ward. But, so, in this case, Lisette de Valentione and her associates, they come to spread, adore and affection across Eorzea as they can, and cities will do stuff, and they'll usually involve, like, the Adventurers Guild, and there is, I think, something that's, like, Ishgardian tradition that they're bringing here to the rest of Eorzea, because technically Ishgard is part of Eorzea. But yeah, it's
the very first one was about baking chocolates.
Yep.
Yeah, and so Lisette and I think Little Sister is also a character that has shown up. But yeah, it's very, very fun. It's always very, very cute. They have done various things throughout the years. Something that they've been doing since 2018. They have what they call the Valentione Ceremony, where it's this uniquely instance you have to do with somebody else. And it starts off in this little maze area where they've got little AoEs going off from enemies. And your character and somebody else's character is chained together with like a little tether. And you have to stay together. So usually one person will have to do some running around and the other person will be dodging the AoEs to try to keep the tether together. and then they have to go far, and then you have to, and you're constantly swapping places, and then at the end of it, you get through that. Then they'll do a little like matching card game where y'all got to figure out which cards match with other cards.
Yeah, and how well you do in the maze and how well you do at the matching, like, it gives you a how compatible are you at the end. I think Basil and I have done pretty good every year-ish.
I always do great at that game with various people.
Well, it's true. Like I always do it every year with Anna / Cormia. I'm pretty sure I've done it a couple of times with Umi.
I think I've done it with Umi.
Yeah, both of you have.
We've
it's
all
a
done
sweet
it with
life.
Umi.
The other thing that they've...
Umi's just the Eorzean bicycle for our group, aren't I?
We said you're what, the hardest raid in the game?
Yeah. Hardest raid in the game. Most epic mount.
Can neither confirm nor deny. Anyways, so... We've also had like fortune tellers who they'll do the whole like how compatible you are, but like it's like it's randomly generated. Like sometimes it'll be good, sometimes it'll be bad, sometimes it'll be whatever. Yeah, every time you do it, it's just a little cutscene will happen. Those have been cute. I don't think they've done it every year quite like they've done the ceremony event part, but it's been there. And those are usually pretty fun.
I remember they did the card game first, and then like the ceremony event came. But the ceremony has then come back every year because people had so much fun with it, whereas the matching card game only came back every now and then. The fortune-telling card game, I mean.
Yeah. Yeah, I haven't really liked the fortune-telling thing near as much. But the rewards are always really cute. We've gotten some cute outfits from it, and great little like I really like one of the house furnishings we've gotten was the like flame thing that's outside that has like hearts and pink flames.
Oh yeah, that's been
we
good.
Also did get I think the best one though had to have been the chairs, because it was one year you got there was two mounts, and they were both these it was like a giant like heart pink like chair. And each mount was like one half of it, and it had a wing that would like come out, and you could fly with it, and you could sit next to someone that had like the left or the right one out, and it would make the full chair. That was also the year we got the heart-shaped bed, which has been used in
bed.
many.
The heart-shaped bed was the best item ever given out.
Can't that actually have like 3 people on it versus 2?
I think so, yeah.
Yes. It's intense.
Yeah, we got some pretty good screenshots out of that bed. I think that was the 2016 one.
Good times, good times.
And after that was the Dota mode. Yeah.
So, Valentine's Day, usually one you want to participate in.
Mm-hmm.
Even if it's not actually all that complex.
Right. Yeah, Heaven's Turn, again, you'll always get a different helm. And sometimes we've also gotten a cute minion out of it. That now tends to be a pretty often thing. But yeah, Valentine's Day has always had good stuff. And then one of my favorite ones comes right after that, which is Little Ladies Day.
If you know the truth, that glamour is the true end game. You're wrong, fishing is the true end game, but glamour is the end game that persists even while the fishing end game starts to take place. And in order to complete the glamour end game, you need to participate in Little Ladies Day. Whatever is going on in Little Ladies Day has traditionally the most fashionable items that people will swear by.
I agree. I really love the Songbird outfit, and then this past year we got the crown, and the crown, I use it in almost all of my glams.
The Songbird outfit is not only good, like that outfit is good. The outfit that you got that's like I have two different outfits that both came from Little Ladies Day that are like they're Chinese inspired traditional Japanese garb.
Yes, I forgot about those. Those are very cute too.
And I love those. And of course, like the peach blossom accessories all come from Little Ladies Day. So whatever is going on in Little Ladies Day those items are going to be highly coveted by the fashion police.
Well, even like the housing item that is the red carpeted like shelving.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I
You know,
have that
like,
in
for example,
my
and use
plushie
that
cafe.
in your plush cafe. Put all the plushies on because it's based off the Japanese holiday Hinamatsuri, and it's also the counterpart to the Doll Festival event from Final Fantasy XI, apparently. And there is a big story about how there was a particularly jerky sultan and his daughter, who was a single daughter who was locked away in the castle, and she always wanted to explore. And there's this whole little storyline about that you learn about in the game. But the whole concept is that every year around this time in Ul'dah, it is the time for all little ladies get to be the sultanas. They get to be a princess.
Yay! I know that this is the connection, but I always made some sort of association between this day and Little Boys' Day, or Children's Day, which is part of Golden Week. Because
Oh, okay.
isn't Golden Week also happening around about this time?
Golden Week was in the summer.
Yeah, that's April. That's end of April into May.
Oh, okay. And this is a little bit earlier
March-ish.
than that.
Yeah.
But that is why we get the platform, the shelving with the red carpet, is because that is a straight up like Hinamatsuri thing.
I said this is the event where we get the 14 idol group, the Songbirds, and everyone they were around for what a 2 or 3 years, and then one year they were sort of written out, like they went off and did their own thing, and everybody's been very sad ever since.
You know that you can still spot them a lot of the times in
Yeah.
during other events.
Yeah, I've seen them, especially I know like during like the Gold Saucer event, and I've seen them before, and I like that.
I noticed them hanging around the Halloween event, and I thought that was pretty cool.
I would absolutely love to see these songbirds come back. It doesn't have to be Little Ladies' Day. They're since they're Ul'Dah's like premier idol group, they can be wherever. In any event. They can be in all of the events, for all I'm concerned. But they're great, and they did have there was 2 or 3 year thing where every year they kept building on the songbirds, and then they realized they needed to introduce other characters to do their thing. They didn't want it just to be like the songbird event. And so I do get why they wanted to focus on other things, but I really like the songbirds, and I would love for them to get more screen time.
Then after Little Ladies' Day
is the greatest song ever written.
Papaya, papaya, papaya.
Hatching Tide.
Yes.
So we've already gone on a little bit about Hatching Tide, and our relationship with it.
It takes place in April. Looking through the various events, it has been sometimes early in April, or the middle of April, or the last half of April. It's always in April. I'm assuming it's probably more timed to whenever Easter happens, and that always happens on different times throughout March and April. But it's always in April.
I think we should time it. I think we should time it to my birthday. Is when I think we should time it.
Usually is around then.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hatching Tide's always pretty cute. I mean, that's the event we got the Fabergé egg mount. So that one was amazing.
I feel like this event really ranges in both in how much there is to do and whether so some years there's a lot to do during this event. That first year where we weren't even level 15, like I only hit 15 on the very last day, and I only did like a little bit of it. I didn't really have time to figure it out. There was a lot to do that year. It was really complicated carrying eggs from one place to another. But there's been other years where it's just like, there's a fate you have to go participate in. That's it. But the things that you get from it have also really ranged from like the stupidest helmet in the game all the way to one of the cooler mounts in the game. It's really hit or miss and really uneven, but I think that's how it should be.
And it's always a treat because we have Papaya playing in every city, and we
People
can
either
annoy...
love or hate Papaya. How do you guys feel about it?
I love it.
Love.
I love it.
It's one of my
Okay,
favorite
so-
songs of all time. Like, I'm a
So
huge...
we're in the love it camp.
Basil
but
likes
a lot
to
of
torture Cass with it.
yeah, a lot of people really, really hate it. It really is repetitive, but
Oh man, one
it's
of
so
the
good.
Keiko renditions, she did a really,
Oh,
really
yeah,
good
she
version
did.
of Papaya.
I heard a pop like a version of Papaya that was like an actual like with a singer like singing it. I don't know if it was a K-pop or if it was J-pop, but it suddenly made me question like the whole origin of the song or if this was somebody actually covering the Final Fantasy version.
I bet it was a cover, but that sounds awesome.
It was really good.
I'll have to look into that. But I did want to point out that the big character in this event has always been the same one, which is Geely. She's this little Makote girl, but Makote lady. The concept is that, 15 centuries pass, the sixth Umbral era was initiated by a big old flood. And the folks that were saved, there was a band of heroes known as the 12 Archons who saved the world. And the idea is that Geely, she gets dreams from the 12 Archons that are all always seems like egg related. So if she's going to save the world again, like the 12 Archons of Eld, you gotta do egg stuff.
Yeah, it's all about the eggs, man. All about the eggs.
That's Hatching Tide. As Geely shows up and goes, okay, I had this dream. And the Archon said, we gotta do this thing with the eggs. And sometimes we'll have, like, those cute little Spriggans. The Spriggans will get involved. And other things happen. But usually it's always eggs. And it's always so... Again, it's just like this event. It's something always usually extremely goofy. It sometimes ends up being something really cool. And other times it's really dumb. Sometimes it's really cool. And it's also really dumb. But that's Hatching Tide.
It sounds perfect to me for an event that is supposed to celebrate a Chaos deity.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah.
Next event is celebrating Cold Hard Cash.
Which I feel like this event came about because there was such a lull between Hatching Tide and Moonfire Fair.
Yeah, you guys have written this in as a seasonal event. Is this a seasonal event? Like, I thought they just made sort of
now.
like...
It is now. It's been every June for the last 2 or 3 years now, but it has become a seasonal event now.
It did not start as a seasonal event. It started as a we're at the end of this patch cycle. We need to do something to keep you entertained, but we don't actually have anything new, so here's the Make It Rain event.
Yeah, no, the Make It Rain is the newest set of events that they did. It started in 2016, where the rest of these started some as early as 2011. Like Starlight was actually around in 1.0 before moving on to 2.0. But they've had one every year since 2016. Like 2016, I think they were just going to do it as a thing, and it was so popular. It did so much for making people just swarm the gold saucer that it is a regular thing.
I feel like it started out as kind of what the Moogle Trove event has become now, in that there was a lull in between patches. They wanted to get people playing, but they needed them to have something to do. And while the Trove event, you do old content and earn a special currency to get these other, these items. This one had a story to it. It has an event story, and again, you can earn special currency for exclusive items. But yeah, I think that's how it started, was similar to the Moogle Trove.
I really, really adored, I think it was last year's, where they essentially gave us like a detective mystery to do.
Oh, that was so good.
Yes.
Where you had to go to talk to people and put clues together. And even if you didn't get the right answer the first time, they would just let you do it over and over and over again until you got it right. It was so good, and I really wish they'd do that one again. Like, give me a new storyline, but that was just absolutely the best. I also really enjoyed the Make It Rain, because everyone shows up, because you get just a straight up 50% bonus to your MGP you get during the event. And it stacks with like FC buffs or like personal buffs you get from like your squadrons too. So you can, make it like, 70% bonus or the 80% bonus to your MGP. So it's really easy to really rack up a lot of items. They'll have a special seller where those items will be just discounted, so they're less MGP. The stuff that you really want, like you're not going to get your Fenrir amount any cheaper, but a lot of stuff is cheaper. And it's just so cool to see how, like, when you see this, the swarms and swarms of people doing the gates and like the jumping puzzles from the, oh my gosh, I'm blanking on that name.
Leap of Faith or Cliffhanger?
Leap of Faith, suddenly, and Cliffhanger, and suddenly there's just, you can't do them because there's too many people who are just waves going through, and just seeing everyone there. And also, again, like many of these events, they'll have other characters during the event in the various city-states, or in this case, the Gold Saucer, where they'll just appear and they'll be doing their own little side things. Like, I've seen, like, the Songbirds, like, show up in the Gold Saucer, chit-chatting with themselves, or seeing various guild masters, or, Ralbon, or, whomever, just hanging out in the Gold Saucer. But yeah, it takes place sometime in June. It has varied, beginning, middle, end, but it's always in June, and it starts in Ul'dah, but you'll, of course, go to the Gold Saucer. Because the whole thing is, yay, we spent all this money and dev time and effort making the Gold Saucer. Please, for the love of gods, use it.
I think you should be able to take a Scion on a date to the Gold Saucer.
You just want a particular Scion.
Yes, I just want a very specific. I just want a very specific date that I promised him.
But yeah, the Gold Saucer's... Make It Rain's always fun, and it's fun to hang out in there because there, like you said, there's so many people, and you never know like what character you're gonna see walk by, and it's fun to, like, even if you don't participate in the gates, like there's some like the Slice is Right, or I think have they retired where the wind blows?
No, that's still a thing. Still a thing.
Okay. But those are fun, especially like if you get knocked out, you get to watch and see like the rest of the people. It's always a fun time to just hang out in there. But then after Make It Rain is my favorite.
It's everybody's favorite.
Event,
yeah.
Because if it's not Little Ladies' Day that has the glamour you're looking for that year, it is probably the Moonfire Fair.
The Moonfire Fair is the best event all year. Like, hands down. Every year, it is the best event of the year, and it always is. Whether they're giving you like a Power Ranger outfit or a bikini,
or Power Rangers poses. Like what I found crazy when I was doing the initial research for this episode, because I didn't realize, because we didn't play at the time, but this is one of those events that happened in 1.0, but it even had a different name. It was called the Firefall Fair, and the storyline, like a lot of these, for example, Hatching Tired is based off these events that happened centuries before, or the Ishgardian thing and Valtion's. This one is all based off the initial original 2011 event in pre-ARR in 1.0, where for some reason, and again in Kurthus, they're dealing with these like bombards, these like bomb creatures. And so these people go to save the world from all these fire-creating creatures, and they host this Firefall Fair for people to fight off these terrible bombards, so that way they can give you their quote fireproof gear as a reward for fending off all these bombs. And the fireproof gear was more swimsuits.
Yeah,
they're actually the same swimsuits you got as like legacy rewards, like the Cascader like vouchers.
Yeah.
For those swimsuits. Those were actually originally the original event items you got in this first Firefall Fair, which they then later renamed for ARR and now the Moonfire Fair, which I think is a better name.
Yep.
But they're always mentioning like where it's the anniversary of us fighting off those bombards, and I thought, oh, it's been this ancient, decades, centuries long
like
fight.
We did.
Yeah, like it's like it's like 10 years ago. Like it happened, and man, we really just need an excuse to get out and live it up in the sun in Costa del Sol. And jump on crazy jumping puzzles that sometimes happen and sometimes don't. I was really glad that it came back this year where they do their Eorzean Ninja Warrior.
I missed the cooking element. There were several years in a row where there was a big cooking element to the Moonfire Fair.
I remember Damia making money off of Popatos.
Yeah, I for RFC would always make up like 3 stacks of whatever the cooking turn-in was for everybody to just have some to go turn in. And like I always made bank off of that event because I knew where to buy the haddock. It's just like a store in Limsa. You just go in and buy it.
Well, the biggest thing is a lot of people didn't have a culinarian.
Yeah.
That was the other thing, is you had to have the actual crafter.
Which I feel nowadays that's much more of a common thing to have crafting classes or knowing crafters. So I think that they could probably bring that aspect back and it do pretty well. And it always did pretty well then too. Because they weren't like high level crafts.
No, they were like level 15, level 20.
But they also did like there is a Ninja Warrior, Eorzean Nimble Warrior obstacle course. And I really enjoyed the concept of, we're bringing Hildebrand back. So we also bring back Nashu. Nashu makes bombs, so we commissioned her to make all the bombs fall on the obstacle course this year. I really, really, really enjoyed. They didn't say it was Nashu, but we all know it was Nashu.
We all know it was Nashu.
But again, you usually get a cool swimsuit like every year, and it's always a fun to see what the swimsuit looks like. Now it's whether or not they'll show up on a billboard first.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, that happened this year. This was a year, man.
That was this year.
And it's also sort of based off the Obon Festival, which is a traditional Japanese like summer festival. That's pretty cool. But the other thing that the Moonfire Fair also feels like especially special, and I agree, this is like the greatest time in the summer to be playing 14 because it either is at the same time or immediately leads into the Rising.
Yeah.
It and the Moonfire Fair and the Rising are very similar with Starlight and Heavenstard in that as soon as one ends, the other one's happening.
And I think it was around this time was when the Make It Rain event happened, and then pretty early on after all, the Moonfire and the Rising happened like one after the other. Was around that same time that WoW Exodus happened, and so they were all sort of this, piling in. And they also had so much to do because they were all starting from scratch, and they had the entire game up through Shadowbringers to play, and so they were drowning in content. But the Rising, which actually is a replacement event, it was originally called Foundation Day in the 1.0 times, which was commemorating the original release of 1.0 and the founding of the Grand Companies. Whereas the Rising is celebrating the fact that 1.0 sucked, so Yoshi P and the team threw a moon at us and raised the land with Bahamut, and so now it's remembering, oh man, that calamity happened.
Yeah. That calamity sure did happen. Like, and that's why it kind of makes sense that like the Moonfire Fair rolls into the Rising. Because this Moonfire Fair, we're celebrating that time that we all fought off all those bombs. That was such a fun time. Oh yeah, but then the moon crashed on us, and we somehow survived.
The moon crashed on us, but then turned into a giant dragon, like, as it was falling, and then that also crashed, but also cast Mega Flare. Good thing Louis Swa did the Louis Swa thing. But anyway, so yeah, the Rising, we're all not dead. It's great.
Oh man, that is also one of my favorite events, because that one, that's something that we were all sort of here for. Like, even if you didn't play 1.0, if you started, if you played Realm Reborn, that's something that that story, and so it's really cool to see like how people remember it. And one of my favorites was when they recreated it in the Fates that we did. It's like they turned Ul'dah into like how it was during the ending of 1.0, and you had to go and fight through the Fates and sort of experience how it was and that's always fun. But my absolute favorite part of that is always the very final cutscene you get. Is you always have your sort of yearly one-on-one meeting with Yoshi P, and sort of, is it a dream or is it not? And that one's always my favorite. The best was the year that we sort of went into the 14 equivalent of the dev room.
Yeah, I really like that.
I wish we could experience that again. And that was the year he got in trouble because he pretty much said, "Hey, you're getting Red Mage," but that was way before Red Mage was even sort of announced to us. And
well, he essentially said, "Wouldn't it be cool to have Red Mage or maybe even Blue Mage?" And everyone's like, "Oh man, Yoshi P said the word Red Mage. Let's go, Red Mage, Red Mage." And his dev team went, "Why did you say the words Red Mage? Why?
Never do that again."
Why? They all want it now. Why did you actually say it's a possibility that maybe one day we could have other kinds of magic like Red Mage or something? And now you said it, and now people want it, so now we have to make it. We had other ideas, but no, throw that in the garbage, because now we're making Red Mage now. I hope you're happy, boss."
He was. Yeah, but yeah, that was a great one. That was just so neat. And like I said, I enjoy my yearly talk with Yoshi P.
Where he's like, "Man, thanks for buying this game, y'all. It's
thanks
really
for
appreciated." Yeah, thanks for buying this game. I really appreciate it, and we all really appreciate it. And it's just good on you for a good financial purchase playing Final Fantasy XIV. Really, really good idea. You should do that more often. See you next year. I guess, well, it's not technically tied to Heaven's Stern itself. We always do get a neat little New Year's poem from Yoshi P that gives us little hints about what's coming up that year in the future.
Oh yeah, and usually they always scare us.
Yeah. Also, usually it's always during the Rising. They have a vendor that gives you all sorts of cool fireworks that you can use, but the character model is 1.0 Minfilia.
Yes.
I remember when I first noticed her, I'm like, "Man, she sure looks like Minfilia, a whole lot." But that's not the same model that I usually interact with. And around the same time, someone was posting on a forum I was on, they were posting their adventures of when they had played 1.0, because they had taken a bunch of screenshots. And I looked at one of the screenshots and went, "That's Minfilia. That's the same Minfilia. Oh, that's what you're referencing. You're referencing the original." Well, that's real smart. Huh. Man, they gave her a really weird new design for Minfilia. I kind of like the old style. It looked like actual clothes. Not the weird,
butt window.
You don't like the butt window?
I love the butt window.
I mean, it's incredibly modern Final Fantasy in its design, that butt window.
And then is probably the second best event in the game for role players.
Well, I think it's a great event for so we're talking about All Saints Week, aka Halloween. Happens in the later half of October. Starts in Gridania. Oh, by the way, the Rising starts in Ul'dah. I guess I should point out that Moonfire Fair starts in Limsa. I didn't mention that. Then you go to Coast of the Soul, by and large. Rising starts in Ul'dah, and All Saints Wake is in Gridania. And there's a big old thing about the time when the Void folks could wreak havoc upon the world. And there was this one day, and essentially there's this new group of Void Sent called the Continental Circus, who is trying to bring back the Void Sent so they can take over the world through the power of holiday Halloween All Saints cheer. And you're always trying to stop them. And it's always a goofy little Halloween-y story. And it's great. It's fun. But the big thing they've been doing for the past several years is they introduced this area called the Haunted Manor, which was this little instance thing where you go into a party and you have to do little things together. You had to go find stuff or click on things, and you had to do these things in order to get the tokens you needed to, finish the quest line to get your drops, which have been mounts. There was a really cool broom mount, or various outfits. Like they had the werewolf outfit, and that's all cute.
Well, one thing about the instance area is what I really like about it is they have taken one of the dungeons from the game and sort of repurposed it for this, with this Huck Manor, and so that's why I really like that they've used those assets to sort of. Well, because Huck Manor is a very early dungeon. It's one of those that you really just barrel through, and so I really like that they've got a different use for it, especially with all of their little rooms and stuff, because that dungeon was specifically one of those that had so many rooms that you didn't have to go into, and so I really like how they use it for that.
I would like to see a lot of the older dungeons get that kind of treatment that it's now been so thoroughly conquered by by adventurers that now for the holiday we'll have it again as just like a goof off place.
Yeah.
Gosh, didn't they did Hawk Manor, but didn't they didn't another one also have, they actually straight up redid in another dungeon in that style? It wasn't just Haunted Manor, it was like a whole other, it was like, either Totorak or...
Oh, I want to say, maybe it was Totorak. I don't remember exactly, but...
Not Totorak, the other one where you have to fight... Tamtara Deepcroft, yes.
Yes.
Where they recreated a different version of Tamtara that you had to go through, but it was synced such that anyone could do it. That one was also really cool. But the big thing they've been doing lately is that they keep the Haunted Manor back, but now it's just sort of an area you can go to and just run around in. They also introduced a newer area this year called the Phantom's Feast. But the big thing was that you could talk to somebody and they'll cast a glamour on you so you could look like any major NPC you want to.
Yeah, that was fun.
Not any. They're very specific, because there are certainly some that I could not transform into. But
there's a whole lot. There's a whole lot. Well, yes,
but you know which ones I'm thinking of.
They got all the important ones.
A lot of the main...
I'm joking. I love you.
Uh-huh.
Anyways.
But most of the main NPCs that you interact with, you can transform into, and that's what a lot of people enjoy taking, because you can G-pose with them. Because you are now that person. It transforms your character into that person, so you can do all of your emotes, most of your emotes, and you can G-pose with them, and so you can get some really funny screenshots.
And it's usually, especially that new area, the Phantom's Feast, it was really picturesque. Like, there are a lot of good spots that you could pose around and hang out with your buddies. Like, I did spend a night, with the Axe of the Blood God 14 folks, and we, instead of running any content, we literally just took screenshots all night. It was a good time. And then our last major one, which brings us all the way back to the beginning, the Starlight Celebration.
I think my favorite year was there was one year the part of the story was there was a choir, and so we got like a sort of Guitar Hero-esque like theatrhythm game. And the best part, and I love that's one thing, like when that soundtrack came out for that expansion. So as you're playing, in a lot of those games, if you start doing badly, the crowd will like boo at you or something. Well, in this one, if you did badly, the choir sounded horrendous, and I loved it. And so I love the fact that when you bought the soundtrack, or if you buy the soundtracks, there is a good version of that song with you conducting the choirs, but there's also the bad version, and it was wonderful. I absolutely loved it. It
was. Yeah, that was really cool. It was straight up like theatrhythm, Elite Beat Agents, like, it was a rhythm game that you could do, and I'm sure that Soken just must have had a ball creating the music and stuff for it, because they even brought it back a couple of times. But they've done a lot of really neat storyline bits. There was a bunch where you would run around in Greater Gridania. There was a couple you had to do that actually led you into Ul'dah, where you had to hang out like little sort of a kids like orphanage / like, it was like the little kids medical unit.
Yeah. Like,
it had its own little bespoke area you could go into, and they had their own little Starlight stories, like in Ul'dah. And that was really cool. Like, they've done some of the neatest ideas that wasn't like a bespoke area or recreating dungeon stuff. They did a lot of really neat Starlight things over the years.
And like this year, especially you always get some great rewards. Especially, Starlight is the one where you get some great housing items. And this year was no exception in that we got really pretty lighted trees outside. I think those were so cool, and they sort of twinkle, and I really like them. And then, but we also got a mount this year. Like, it's surprising that we've never gotten a reindeer mount.
We got like a Christmas bear, although I do think it's really funny that one of the the Moonfire events, we got a polar bear.
Yeah.
Because the polar bear could generate magic cold, and they had to keep stuff cold. So that's why we get a polar bear for our summer event. But we also got like a Santa inspired.
We got the little snowman that when you're in the snowman and when you're bouncing around, the head pops up. That one was cute.
This is also another case of where the entire backstory to it is again Ishgard stuff, where the idea was that it was back in the beginnings of the Dragon Song War between Ishgard fighting against the dragons, and there were lots of orphans in Kurthis, and so Ishgardian knights would hide them in their scarlet robes and clothing to sneak them in, and unbeknownst to their superiors, because it's technically not allowed. And so that way the children survive the winter, and it's a big celebration of Ishgardian knights not being assholes.
Which is so rare that really you have to celebrate it when it happens.
I mean, yeah.
Where the captain of the knights should be referred to as the saint of Nemea, and then his other other knights, because again they were wearing these red jackets, they were saints, little helpers, and that's why everyone wears red clothing for Starlight. It's not Santa or anything, it's the same thing. But the most important thing is there is someone who now really lives up to the spirit of being the saint of Nemea, and that's Godbert Manderville. And he is the universe's one singular good billionaire, and that's how you know this is a fictional story.
Aww.
Yeah. God bless you, Godbert. I'm really glad he gets multiple events. He many times he shows up in the Make It Rain because he owns a gold saucer, and he's a saint of Nemea. It's not like the awesome secret lady who is also the pumpkin-headed person, who we actually got her backstory this year in All Saints Wake.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Who is constantly doing stuff to stop the Void Scent from actually doing what they want to do. But no, in Starlight, our saint of Nemea is just Godbert because he's got tons of money, so he has no qualms of just spending on people without a care, because it's not like he can't live large if he wants to. Starlight's good times. I really, really like Starlight. It's 14 seasonal events. They are usually way cooler, way better than not.
They are definitely a highlight of the game.
They're nice little world and lore building.
Yep. And they also have to be somewhat infuriating for the lore people, because it creates this weird dichotomy, this weird thing where, on the one hand, we have this set storyline we're playing through, right?
Mm-hmm.
That takes place only for a certain period of time. But then you've got all these seasonal events that many times will build up their own little plot lines over the course of years, which is in direct opposition to the concept of the storyline we're actively playing through. But both things must be true at the same time. And so it's the worst question that, a Kate or a Koji Fox can receive. So let's talk about the timeline. And just to hear them go, nope, No, we sure not. No, sir, no, ma'am. Thank you very much. You know what you just did. But they're really, really fun. They're always really cute. It's also something for, while Yoshi P has many times said that 14 is a game designed for you to be able to take breaks for as much as you want. It'll be there when you get back. You don't have to be subbed. Like, they're not going to say no to someone being subbed all the time, but you don't have to be if you don't want to be. But for those of us who still have 14 as a lifestyle choice, along with the video game that you play, it's good to get rewarded for all these little events that are throughout the year.
It should be noted that even if you do miss them, like there was, for a longest time, I was very sad that I had missed the first Little Ladies Day because there was a cute little minion attached to it, and and as someone that collects minions, I really wanted it. Well, I was really sad that I had missed out on it. So now they're very good in that the following year, like if you miss this year's Starlight Celebration and you didn't get the reindeer mount, next year when they release the next Starlight Celebration on the Final Fantasy XIV online shop, you'll be able to buy the mount or the minions or, whatever rewards were from the year before. You'll be able to buy them the next event or the next time that event comes around. It took them a while to do that. Like I said, some of the events that we had missed, it took a few years for them to add that to the shop because they were getting it, up and going and everything. But now they're very consistent in that you can always buy the previous year's rewards.
So really what you're saying is that you're saving money by constantly playing the game and doing the events when they happen instead of having to buy all these expensive rewards later.
That's right. Just keep up with it. That's right. Something that I don't know if it's in there or not, but I really kind of would like, even if you don't get the rewards for it, I would love to see, like, bringing back these older events as like a new Game Plus option.
Yes, because like I said, I would love to go back and see like the dev room from Rising, or that would be a good idea if they could do that.
Or was it Heavenstern that had like the sort of wizardry, like first person little dungeon crawl that was like a little puzzle that you could do?
No, you can do those.
Still do that. That's in your game box.
Yeah, any event that has those little mini games, there's a toy box that's in like SC.
It's in your in room.
Yeah,
it's in your in room.
Yeah.
Okay, that's true. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
But that was a really neat thing they did. That they never did again, but it was a really cute little. Was it the Rising?
I think it was the Rising.
Maybe the Rising.
Yeah, because Heavenstern's pretty much like it's the Mochi Fate. Although they did an interesting Mochi Fate like earlier this year, where they had like the little curtain that you had to go behind. It wasn't the exact same fate they'd used for many years prior. It was actually a little bit different this time, which was neat. But okay, now we've talked about all these seasonal events. Now you got to give me your favorite one.
Moonfire or Starlight. I don't know if I can choose between the two. Maybe Starlight, since that's going on right now and I really enjoy it. But both of those are pretty high on the list for me.
I already said during the course of this thing that the Moonfire Fair is the best event all year. Every year. Like, if the Moonfire Fair event is not that good this year, it's because none of the events were that good. If the Moonfire Fair is spectacular and, oh my gosh, so amazing, it's because all the events were spectacular and so amazing. Like, it is the peak of the year.
I will say something, I think, overall for... I'm going to say Make It Rain, because...
I had a feeling.
Well, it's the one, and it's something that I used to feel that I really got a lot in Moonfire Fair, but it doesn't happen so much anymore, is that, again, you get a real feeling of a community happening around the Gold Saucer when Make It Rain's happening. Mm-hmm. Like, there's always some folks in Gold Saucer. Always. But it is not just packed to the brim of folks the entire time because it had that MGP bonus. Something that I really, really enjoyed about Moonfire, especially in those early years, was that for most of Moonfire Fair, it would be everyone's there. Everyone's showing up. Everyone's in swimsuits. Everyone's hanging out on Costa Sol. Everyone's chilling out and catching some rays. It was awesome. Nowadays, past couple of years, it is packed with folks like the first like few days,
Mm-hmm.
and then it's a little bit of a ghost town.
Yeah.
I think, and that it didn't used to be that way. Probably because a lot of stuff was like fate based, where you had to get so much of the things, or you had to acquire the Popoto like crafting meals, that it required people to stick around just a little bit longer. And I do kind of wish, and this is now my next question, is if you could do something to help improve the events, what would it be? And mine would be to give people an excuse. I don't know if it requires more rewards or harder to get rewards or something more interesting that requires you to spend more time in that area. But I would love to have more excuses for people to just be able to exist in that general event area to keep that feeling of community going.
I'm not sure. I agree that, yeah, I don't know. Like you said, maybe, a big reward that's a bigger grind. Like if there's fates, like have people, people are going to do it in like with a few hours, they're going to grind it all day. But, I don't know. I do really like, mentioning that doing it during New Game Plus. But yeah, I don't know. Anything other than that, I'm not sure.
I think they need to give us a new glamour with every event, like an outfit glamour with components, and
I would be fine with a glamour
and a new dance for every event. New dance. It's what we want.
All right. Well, then let me rephrase. I think that they could.
I'm just being greedy.
Well,
I'm just being greedy. Is all I'm being.
If I'm going to be greedy, but not trying to be too greedy, like glam, mount, emote, dance. Give us 2. Like if we're going to be greedy, give me 2. Like maybe it's a glamour and a mount, or maybe a mount and an emote. I don't have to have all 4 or all 3, depending on how you want to look at it, because really, dance is just a different emote. But give us 2. Like, it really give us a reason to do stuff. I'm really sad that housing is too popular for its own good.
Yeah, they keep giving us housing items as rewards, especially they keep giving us outdoor housing items as rewards, and I kind of wish they would stop, because if you have housing, there's way more than you could possibly ever put out in your yard. And if you don't have housing, it's just an item that you can't use.
I am really, really hoping that it turns out that they're going to give you a space on your island sanctuary to use outdoor furnishings.
Yeah, I know a lot of people are.
We are not sure. In the last live letter, it was, and maybe we'll get more clarification this upcoming live letter. So maybe by the time you're listening to this information's outdated, and who knows. But in the last live letter, people were not quite sure if he was communicating that you would be able to place down outdoor furnishings, or if you just had access to a garden. But there seems like they're doing something more with Island Sanctuary besides just more Island Sanctuary, that there's going to be a little more functionality that you can make use of. And we're not quite sure what that functionality is. And I'm really kind of hoping they give you a space that you can, if you can't do a lot of indoor decorating, okay, there is ways that you can make that happen. Apartments are a thing. Like FC rooms are a thing. You probably make some form of small scale indoor housing, something you can play around with, probably. But outdoor is not possible unless you own a house or have rights to it from your company house outside.
So there's a game that came out recently. I think it came out either like days before Pokemon or what have you. But it is Final Fantasy doing a farm type game. What's it called again? Harvestalia. If someone would buy me a copy of Harvestalia, I will play it, and then I will tell you how it compares to Final Fantasy XIV Island Sanctuary, or Final Fantasy XIV Gardening, or Final Fantasy XIV Fishing and Gathering, or, all the things. Like, I'll tell you how it compares, like, in general. Just somebody please buy it for me. because I already spent my money buying so many copies of Pokemon, I don't have any more money to buy games. I had to buy 6 copies of Pokemon this year.
6?
Yes, 6 copies.
Wow.
A copy for me, a copy for Barry, a copy for one of my nieces, and one of my nephews. A copy for another twin set of nieces and their brother nephew. So that's a total of 6. That's 3 households.
Yeah.
I don't have any more money to buy video games, but I want to play this Harvestalia and compare it to how it plays and tell everybody if it's worth it looking into Squaresoft's version of an Animal Crossing. But in order to know somebody has to buy me that game.
Okay, so just for everyone who's listening, it is Harvestella, not Harvestalia.
I'm saying Harvestalia.
Right. Well, I think it's Tales of Disease.
Yeah.
Where it make you want to add a Leah to like everything.
Yeah.
Even though they don't do that anymore. But when we were younger, you had Tales of Symphonia, you had Tales of Vesperia. Like, so I totally get the concept of Harvestalia. Like, I get
you get why I want to do that. Yeah, so that's why I'm saying
Harvestella.
That. Okay, well...
It is Harvestella. I don't want people to... If people want to tweet or toot or publish, is what Mastodon does now, or co-host at us, that no, what do you say? It's Harvestella. No, we got that. Fixed it. It's Harvestella. Don't add us. Add us for things that are like, that we say good things about. Like our opinions on events.
Fine. I want to actively mispronounce it, but fine. Okay.
Oh, well, no.
You've
now that I know what the real
me.
name. Look, now that I have said it, we know what the name is. Now you can mispronounce it all day.
Okay.
I just want it known that we know what the actual name is.
I just want people to know that I will play that video game if they will buy it for me. Because I want it and I don't have the money to buy it.
So this is a great time for Basil to talk about our Patreon.
That's right. We've got, let's wrap things up. This is the Carbuncle Chronicle, an episode series about Final Fantasy XIV, as produced by the Awesome Cast, which is also us. Our editor is the wonderful, amazing Anna, aka Cormia. Our theme is so the Awesome Cast theme was done by DJ Inabito, but the Carbuncle theme is a remix rendition that Anna created based off of DJ Inabito's theme. Our website for the Carbuncle Chronicle is, of course, awesomecast.com, osmcast.com. From there, you can find all sorts of things, like our previously mentioned Patreon, where you can support us with monetary wonderment. And if you, like, for example, if you sub only at like $1, you'll get a cool color if you're in our Discord. But at $5 or more level, we also nowadays will introduce a bonus episode that is exclusive to $5 and up, folks, in addition to these episodes. So if you want us here to talk about just a little bit more, you can do that and be supporting us in the process. Or if you do $20 a month, you get to choose something for Kevin to eat.
Yep.
But that's there. We also, like I mentioned previously, we have a Discord, which you can find a link to on our website. It's free to join for anyone, but again, if you're an awesome patron, you get a cool color. And we talk about all sorts of things, including Final Fantasy XIV. A lot of Marvel Snap Talk has been going on lately. Pretty sure that'll still be going on by the time if you join while we're releasing this. And just all sorts of things. Other ways that you can help the podcast is leaving us Apple Podcast reviews. That is, especially now being the Twitter being the Hellbird site that it currently is, one of the best ways for people to find out how this podcast exists, and it might be something people want to listen to, is if people leave Apple Podcast reviews. It straight up is one of the best ways that anyone can support us for free. Just leave us a 5-star review. You can also leave 5-star reviews on Spotify if that's service you use. Apple Podcast reviews, you will need to leave some sort of text thing. You can comment about how great we pronounce words or have opinions about Final Fantasy XIV.
Oh, on the Discord, I posted the correct and true list of Final Fantasy, so you should definitely join our Discord to see that, so that you can have the correct opinion.
Or my list, which is also the correct opinion. Anyways.
My list is more correct.
Well, we're allowed to disagree on these things.
No, we're not.
So, Spotify, you can...
Go on.
Oh.
Spotify?
Spotify, 5-star reviews.
Okay.
Also, someone's salty that I had an even better joke listing that they should have done.
You did! Oh my god, you did! You are so right! Like, you looked into my heart and soul, and you saw the correct answer, and yet my own brain circumvented me from knowing the true answer, and I'm very disappointed.
It's impressive because you guys share a brain.
Which is funny how similar, but yet how different our Final Fantasy lists are.
Yeah.
Well, I thought very meticulously so that I came out to the right bell curve. Like, it is not always my personal preference that I represented there. Like, I also factored in, like, other people's opinions, which is why I say is the correct and true opinion.
If other ways you can get a hold of us to tell me your correct and true opinions, or Anna, like, on the very social websites, you can find my stuff at its basal time, whether it's Twitter or Mastodon, which I have. We actually do have an awesomecast.social, which is what we use for our Mastodon vanity URL, essentially. But you can find my stuff at its basal time at awesomecast.social. You can also find, I'm also like on co-host and a variety of other things. Anna's also on things with under Angel Darkfire, and the middle A is missing in the dark part. And if you want to talk to Umi, well, we mentioned the Discord. So join that if you want to get a hold of Umi.
Umi is an international man of mystery.
That's true. And finally, you can find me on Twitch. You can also find Anna on Twitch. But I am trying to do Twitch as more of a actual, like, thing. I recently made affiliate, so I'm been trying to push that more. I've been playing through all the Final Fantasy Pixel remasters as of this recording. I'm currently in the middle of 5. It's been a lot of fun. And you can find that, again, twitch.com/It's Basil Time. So, thank you to Cormia. Thank you to Umi for talking with me about all the awesome events that you can do seasonally in Final Fantasy XIV. But until next time, never, ever, ever forget that you'll always tank the Bone Dragon up north. Hey, folks, what? 2 Carbuncle Chronicles in a row? Yeah, it happens. Did Yule miss us? Because we're doing seasonal events. Okay.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to. I had to sneeze, and it happened right in the middle of it.
It's okay. We now have a stinger. It's fine.